So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to take decisions effectively that will lead you to your dream destination, to your intended outcome, to your intended vision, almost every single time. And this is a framework that I have been using for over a decade now. And this has allowed me to be in a position of negotiating a $3.5 million transaction, $10 million transaction, $25 million transaction, $120 million transaction, and $140 million transaction. In the last couple of years, I'm 29 years old, by the way, and I come from a very humble beginning in India, raised by a single mother and who made around $2,500. And me and my brother and her, three of us were living in that money in India not too long ago. So obviously I took some decisions at those points that has slowly built up and evolved into who I am today. And in the last few years, I've negotiated these deals. I've negotiated with billion-dollar public companies, the decision makers within these companies, and I have done presentations in front of bankers that have financed $350 million transactions. And I've negotiated with billion-dollar law firms, many of them, not just one. And I have brought together some of the most high-profile executives in UAE. And I'm the founder of a healthcare investment company now. And this is something that I have done at the age of 29. And no, I did not go to Harvard, Oxford. I was not born into an affluent neighborhood. I did not leverage the contacts of my father because my father is no more. I lost him when I was 9 years old. And since then, I have been by myself because my mother had been working and I was alone. So in the nights and in my alone time, I would think a lot and I would start planning my life and start planning the direction of my life. You know, what type of career do I want to have? What type of woman do I want to have? What type of relationships I want to have? Do I want to get married or not? Do I go to college or not? What subjects to study, and so on, right? And for some reason, I took all the right decisions, and I'm going to share the framework with you that has allowed me to be in the position that I am in. And this is based on a lot of thinking, a lot of critical thinking, a lot of trial and error. I faced some failures at the beginning of my career when I was 17 years old and I started my first business. And then all of that has evolved over the last decade for me to be positioned in front of you right now and speak this way and speak in an effective manner. I have also structured business partnerships with $3.5 billion CEOs. He's my business partner and my chairman. And also lawyers who have negotiated, who have actually advised on a $13 billion bank merger, one of the largest deals in UAE that happened. And he's also my business partner and he's my advisor, mentor, and I have several other business partners of such profile, all of them in one company that I have, okay? And I did this within 80 days. I put this team together between 60 to 80 days. And then in the last 3 years, I have done all of this. So I'm gonna talk about decision making and how to take those decisions because those are one of the most important aspects, most important points in your life is when you take a decision. And they can be small decision or big decision. But in this video, we are talking about both big and small, but once you know how to take big decisions, you will know how to take the small ones. And how your ability to take decisions based on what's in front of you will determine the position you will be in and will determine whether you get what you want or not. So it's just a series of decisions that one takes in one's life that really shapes the person's future and shapes the person's life. So how you take decisions is extremely, extremely important. It's so crucial. Okay, I'm done hyping you up. So now I'm going to get to point now. So, okay, let's start with how to take decisions. Your decisions have to be based on the outcomes and goals you want in your life. Period. We are given a certain amount of time in life, and this time will get over. Not only our life is going to get over, there are many phases of our life that gets over. The 20s get over, the 30s will get over, the 40s will get over, the 50s will get over. And each decade has to have certain goals and that you want to accomplish, so that you make sure that that aspect of life is fulfilled. And you want to consider several factors when you are shaping your life. You want to consider health, money, relationships, happiness, and lifestyle. So we're given a limited amount of time, and our responsibility is to use this time and allocate this time into a direction, into a place where we will get the most amount of result that we want. But most of us do not think about the results that we want. So our time allocation is almost always in the wrong place. And why I say most of the people is because I see this. I clearly look at the person and I know that they're heading in the wrong direction. For example, I have one of my friends. He was planning to become a lawyer, and I asked him, "What's your favorite car?" And he said, "My favorite car is Ferrari." I said, "What's your favorite destination?" And he said, "I love Europe." And I asked him, and what else do you like? I said, "I love beautiful women." I said, "Okay, so you want beautiful women, you want to live in a place like Europe, and you want to drive a supercar. Is that fair?" And he said, "Yes." And he says, "What if I told you that that's never going to happen in your lifetime?" And he just saw something, because this guy is based in New Delhi and he's planning to become a lawyer because his father wants him to become a lawyer, and his father wanted him to become a lawyer because he was a lawyer and he wanted to give his clients to him. And he suddenly realized that he is in his late 20s. He has his whole life in front of him and he can plan his life so that he has all of the things that he wants. But he hasn't even sat down and defined what he wants. And I pushed him and I asked him this question, "What do you want?" And that just opened up something for him. And I really pushed his buttons. And I told him, "It's not going to happen. How about that?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're becoming a lawyer, right?" He said, "Yes." "And you're going to have clients in this country?" I said, "Yes." "And you're going to just be here. And you're going to have an Indian wife because you are living your whole life based on your father's framework that he set for you." And he suddenly realized he's not even in control. And he suddenly he had a dip of emotion. He was like, "What the hell do I do?" And I say, "You got to think." You're not thinking, man. You went to college, you did not think. You decided a career, you did not think. And now you're heading into a direction and you're not thinking. You're just moving like a sheep and your father's controlling your life. I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking that he's clearly in control, his father, of him. But the choices that he makes, his father is not going to face the consequences because his father will be gone. He is the one who's going to face the consequences of the regrets that he has in his life. And parents, they really program us with guilt and they remind us what they did for us, and they use it as a leverage to command and direct us into places that we really don't want to be. So the bottom line is, if you don't have a plan for your life, somebody else does. And most of the time it's someone, in a position of authority, parents, then teachers, and then eventually your boss has a plan for you. And that plan that others create will be for their own fulfillment of their own desires, not necessarily the fulfillment of your dreams and desires. So you got to make sure you sit down and you write down, how do you want to spend your life? How do you want to spend this time that you are given, this gift of life? that you're given, and where do you want to allocate it? In the area of money, health, happiness, relationships, lifestyle in general. Location you want to live in, clothes you want to wear, women you want to date or man you want to date, types of watches you want to buy, everything. And start putting numbers on those line items. And you may not act on it immediately. You can and you should, because again, time is ticking. It's ticking. So time allocation is one factor of decision making. The second factor of decision making is finance. The third factor is risk scenarios. Okay, things that can stop you from achieving your goal is risk. That so you have these few things that, and your goals. So number one is goals. Based on what you want to accomplish, your time has to be allocated and connected. Wherever you're spending your time has to be connected with the goal. It cannot be a mutually exclusive thing. Or you want to drive a Ferrari, but also, you want to wait tables at a restaurant. That just does not work. You're not heading anywhere. Some people think, oh, if you work at a restaurant, you will develop work ethic. Not really. I don't think so. But anyway, so goals, and then you got to start thinking about, okay, all the decisions will be taken based on what you want to accomplish in life. Short-term decisions, long-term decisions. And ask yourself the question, if I invest my time in this direction, will this get me to my goal or not? And then you also have people that you will be coming across, in your life, your friends, your family, and you got to ask yourself this question sincerely. Are they connected with my goal or not? I asked this friend of mine, I told him, listen, I want both of us to travel the whole world, live a life of a rock star, date beautiful women, drive supercars, and have big companies. Do you want to live this life? He said, yes. He says, then you got to stop this and you got to come with me. You got to do the things I'm doing, watch the things I'm watching, learn from people I'm learning from. And then he would be like, yeah, but, and the discussion would be over. I tried for many years and he would not listen to me. So I had to cut him out because I realized he's not connected to my goals. And I realized that he's not in my future. So why would I spend time with him if he's not connected with my future? I'd spend some time convincing him, he didn't listen. So now I got to let him go. I realized the same thing with my brother. I would create a vision, we would come aligned with the vision, but when it comes to taking action, his head was somewhere else. I had to let him go. My own brother, we don't talk anymore, and that's just something I had to do. So there are decisions you will be taking, because every relationship takes time, and life is about managing and allocating time. So you got to, once you take those decisions, you will have time back. This time you can use to produce result. If your time is completely engaged in relationships which are not connected with your goals and dreams, you're wasting time. So once the time is back, then you have the power. Then you have the power. And from this power, you decide, where do I want to allocate this energy? Is my job going to fulfill my dream of driving beautiful cars? And if it's a yes, then keep the job. If it's a no, okay, what else is available? You may not take the, leap overnight, but you can, but you got to start thinking in that direction. What else is possible? Maybe a business, maybe something that I can start off, maybe an online business, maybe I can change the job. Maybe, if I change my country and find a job there, some other place, maybe that's a wise choice. But you got to start thinking from the perspective of your goals and dreams. That has to be your North Star. People have to come in your life from that perspective. Locations that you are in have to be from that perspective. For example, I was in India And I really had this desire of dating a beautiful blonde girl with blue eyes. There aren't women with blonde girls and blue eyes in India. It's just the way it is. So it was very natural for me, and I had started to build something in India. So I had to move out of the place, and I had to go to a place where that thing can be fulfilled. And I did date a beautiful woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. Okay, very beautiful. Okay, so you can tell that I light up when I talk about beautiful women. It's something that I'm driven by. I can't help it. Okay, so so I decided that. Then I was like, okay, I want to make a lot of money. How much? Hundreds of millions. Well, is there any job that can do that? No. I don't know anyone who makes that kind of money. And I know people who are I knew people at that time who had only been in jobs. So I was like, if I don't need a job, then I don't need to go to college. So I didn't go to college, and I didn't get a job. So I was like, okay, so what the hell do? I don't know what to do. So I was sitting around for a long time and thinking what to do. And I was like, you know what, I want to start a business. Well, the first problem in business is customers. So you start studying about marketing, leadership. And then I was like, okay, I don't know how to do business. Okay, that's a start. So I got to find people who know about business, and I got to learn from them. And then I started to find people, I started to learn from them, I started to study and immerse myself in all this material. And then finally, I started to build myself up, and slowly my trajectory was shaped, my destiny was shaped, because I took that destiny into my hands. I didn't put it in the hands of God, I didn't put it in the hands of astrology, right? They used to read these, they've studied lines, and they would make the correlation of the lines with, you know what I'm talking about. So, we cannot leave your destiny in the hands of any of this. The moon cycle will decide whether I will make the money or not, or this particular God is going to decide. And in my family, that's how they operate. I mean, I'm just telling you. So you can't operate on that. You got to take things into your own hands. You got to play God in your own life. You got to play the God. It's your life. So once you start taking more and more control of this based on your goals, then you start allocating time and resources in the direction that you want to go into. And this will shape everything you do. Just writing your goals down will shape all your decisions. And every single decision that comes after that, you got to ask yourself, is this aligned with my goal or not? So one of the things I used to do was, I was a smoker for 8-9 years, and I was drinking a lot. And I was heading towards a direction of even getting into drugs. And this was when I was 17, 12 years ago. And the moment I wrote down my goals, one of my goals was health related, that I want to live long. I want to live for 100 years because my father died early. I want to live long. I don't want to go early like him. So I was like, but he smoked and he got cancer. That's why he left. So, oh fuck, I need to stop this right now. And I need to stop drinking right now. And who do I want to hang around with? I want to hang around with billionaires. So I got to stop hanging around with my friends right now. So I want to travel the whole world. Well, if I take a job in India, how am I going to travel the whole world? So I got to let this job go, or whatever, or not apply for a job. So it has to be always based on the goals. And I'm proud to say I didn't smoke for 8-9 years. I still don't smoke. I didn't drink for 8 years. Now I drink very, very occasionally. I have a drink. I'm not a big drinker. I started a couple of months ago, just a drink. I will stop again, so because one of my goals is to live a very long life. And then every food item I consumed was based on this goal. So it was all of a sudden the goals were deciding where I go, what decisions I take. I started to practice yoga. I was never into yoga, but I started to practice yoga. I started to learn more about it. And because I was interested in longevity and anti-aging and living very long, right? then I wanted to date beautiful women, so I did a lot of dating programs, right? And then I started to identify career options that would allow me to travel. And then I was like, you know what, I want to build wealth. Then I started to explore all the careers that were wealth related, real estate, mergers and acquisitions. And then I positioned myself there. And I have to tell you, because of those reasons, I am in the position I'm in. None of this is because of coincidence or luck. It happened with this framework, step by step. The other thing that I did not do, that I highly recommend you do, is create a risk analysis. Your decisions should also be based on risk. You have to assess the risk, and you gotta assess the scenarios that can go wrong and protect those scenarios. I'm all the time thinking about risk factors, things that can go wrong, and I write them down, things that can go wrong, and I protect them. I make sure that doesn't happen. It could be a road accident, it could be a terminal illness, it could be consuming food that over time, if you consume them, you can develop problems. So if you identify those risks, then you can start removing those things. One of the decisions I took was I don't want to live in Delhi because it's one of the most polluted city in the whole world. And probably my father got cancer because he was living in Delhi, because he was not a big smoker and the doctor told him. So because I had this goal of living long, I decided to move out of Delhi. So that little thing that I wrote, I want to live long till 100, decided so many things in my life over the next decade. And this is the power of goal setting, and this is what your decisions have to be based on. So I highly recommend this exercise. Do it and see what happens over a course of 5-10 years. You will not be the same person. You can check your progress and you can check everybody around you, their progress. You will see where you would be. And that is something that I want to leave you with. You got to set the goals and allocate your time and money based on your goals. Associate with people based on your goals. And you got to talk about and think about risk scenarios, things that can go wrong. You got to think about it. I know it's a little bit tough. We don't want to look into those places, dark corners of our minds where all the fears are hidden. We have security protocols at the house. I have things that I can use to defend myself if something happens, even if I'm living in a safe place, because you want to think about what can go wrong. When I'm on the road, I always am careful. I'm looking around. I've thought about every scenario, snakes and everything. So you got to write down, this is the same framework that can be used for your personal life and business life. And personal and business life are connected. So really conversation for risk has to be multifaceted. You got to assess the risk in relationships, marriages, things like prenuptial agreement, or that's a financial risk. I've written all of this down on my Trello board. I've written everything down, and then you feel much more in control. And when things show up, it's no longer a surprise because you've already considered it, you've factored it, you've set up systems to tackle it. And it's a full multifaceted system, this machine of dealing with situations as they come. And you're ready for them, and you're performing at the highest level, and you're accomplishing your goal every single time within the time that you planned for it. Okay, I'm still growing with it. I'm much better as I was before, and this is the framework I followed, and I wanted to share it with you. Experiment it and let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll talk to you soon.